Real Talk with Remy. Today's talk is a very personal, vulnerable story. Um, Something that I shared in a meeting last week, and Chris and Ian, who I was meeting with, said, Remy, this is so powerful. You have to get it on video because it will help so many people. So here we are. So it's a testament to the power of triggers, the power of curiosity, the power of doing deep inner work and healing and what's possible for you. And it starts with a bad manager that I had back in the day. She was the first bad manager I had ever experienced. And what made her a bad manager is that she managed and led through fear and intimidation. That was her MO to get people to do things and or to achieve their goals. But I had a very visceral physical response to this. I got sick and started having health problems, started having panic attacks, insomnia, and I wasn't the only one. Several people within the office were experiencing the same thing, which goes to show that toxic environments and bad managers have an effect on individuals and teams. And I can actually thank this woman now because she's one of the inspirations to starting Zella Life and trying to help people be better leaders, managers, and then also help people deal with folks like this. So, a couple of things happened through this experience. I realized that I had felt this feeling before, and it took me a while to place it. But what it was that I that fear and intimidation I had felt before when I was growing up in different households, different family members, and also in a school environment. And it also inspired me to go do the work because what I realized was that she probably wasn't going to be the last bad manager or last difficult person that I was going to meet or have to deal with. And I couldn't go around quitting every single job because, especially if I liked the job, right? And And so it inspired me to go do the work. And that's one of the things that set me on my path with therapy and executive coaching. And it was transformational for me. In fact, several jobs down the road, I had a bad vice president, and I had a very different experience because I had learned to self regulate my emotions and I learned how to deal with difficult people more effectively because I had new tools in my emotional intelligence toolbox. Fast forward again, when I broke through my entrepreneurial fear and I was starting my new venture and I was so excited and so hyped up about it all. And I was driving down the freeway on a Sunday listening to Oprah's Super Soul Sunday. And the host of the show said something that triggered me, but it triggered me in a very different way. And I realized that the feeling I felt was the feeling of being unstoppable. And again, it felt familiar. I had felt it before. And it was mind blowing because I'm like, when did I feel this, like this powerful feeling? And I realized the last time I had felt it was when I was 14 years old. 14 years old. And what stopped that feeling was the fact that I experienced a whole bunch of traumatic situations, sexual aggressions, there was some physical abuse, and it changed the trajectory of my life. It took me on a different path. And in not so fun fact, by the way, that I learned recently, 50% of women experience sexual aggression, sexual trauma, and 80% of those happen before the age of 18. So I was definitely part of that statistic. And so what it does is set you on a whole different path of um, consequences and outcomes, and a whole different story for a different day. But that's the reason for a lot of healing. And what I realized though in that moment, my breakthrough, was that all that deep inner work that I had done, all that healing work had now created a bridge. And all of the negative, terrible things that had happened to me were now water under the bridge. And I could navigate life from a very different place, from an empowered place. And here's the thing, that feeling of being unstoppable has never left me since that day. It has never left me. I felt that feeling consistently since then. And so the invitation to you is to get curious about your triggers, to do the work, to do the deep inner work, to do the healing work. And one book that really helped me was this one called The Body Keeps the Score. It's a whole paradigm shift on trauma and healing, very powerful. And I also invite you to watch Coach Gavin's video from last week where he talks about triggers when it comes to feedback. So thank you so much for listening. You know the deal. Feedback, suggestions, and real talk, real stories, real strategies that really work.